Today we're taking a close look at those stem-changing verbs that end in IR and how those stem-changing verbs ending in IR behave in the preterit. So we need to do a little bit of review here. In Spanish 1010, I think it was lesson 4. I'm not sure, but I think that's right. You learned the three types of stem changing verbs in the present tense. Let's remember that there are three categories of verbs that are stem changers in the present. Those that change from E to IE, from O to UE, and from E to I. So let's remember how these verbs behave, stem changing verbs. So again, in the present, there are three types of stem changing verbs. Verbs that stem change from E to IE, from O to UE, and from E to I. What does that mean? That you go ahead and conjugate these verbs as any other regular verb, but you take the stem. In this case, we have cerrar as a model here. We take that stem, that E, and we need to change it to IE when we conjugate the verb. And the result is yo cierro, tú cierras, él cierra, nosotros cerramos, vosotros cerráis, ustedes, ellos, ellas cierran. Remember that nosotros, vosotros never change the stem. Okay? So we have volver right here as an example of a stem changing verb that changes from O to UE in the present, which means that when you go ahead and conjugate the verb, you need to say yo vuelvo, tú vuelves, él, ella, usted vuelve, nosotros volvemos. The stem doesn't change in nosotros, vosotros, volvéis, and then back to the stem change, ellos, ellas, ustedes vuelven. And then the third group, E to I in the present, such as pedir, we have yo pido. As you can see, the E, the stem in pedir, the E changes to I when you conjugate the verb. Yo pido, pides, pide, then pedimos, no stem change, pedís, no stem change, and then piden, stem change. Okay, so again, this is review. You know this from Spanish 1010, stem changing verbs in the present. Then in Spanish 1020, a while ago, I think it was lesson 6, you learned that stem changing verbs ending in AR and ER in the present will not change the stem in the preterite. Okay, so let's take a look here. Again, those stem changing verbs ending in AR and ER, they change the stem in the present, but when you conjugate them in the preterite, they don't change the stem. They behave as simple regular verbs in the preterite. So let's take a look as review. That's right here. Let me see. Right here. AR and ER ending verbs that have a stem change in the present tense do not have a stem change in the preterite. So let's see right here. We have cerrar in the present. Cerrar changes from E to IE. So we have cierro, cierras, cierra, cerramos, cerráis, cierran. We need to change the stem in the preterite, but no stem change. Sorry, in the present, you change the stem. I don't want to confuse you. In the present, you change the stem, but in the preterite, we're right here, there's no stem change. So, regular verb, cerré, cerraste, cerró, cerramos, cerrasteis, cerraron. Okay? And then for the ER, like volver, in the present, we do change the stem, O to UE, vuelvo, vuelves, vuelve, volvemos, volvéis, vuelven. But in the preterite, as it is an ER stem changer in the present, in the preterite, there is no stem change. So it behaves like a regular verb. Volví, volviste, volvió. You see the O in the stem remains the same. Volvimos, volvisteis, volvieron. Now, what happens? This is the new thing that you will learn today. You will now learn that stem changing verbs ending in IR in the present have a stem change only in the conjugations of usted, él, ella, third person singular, and ustedes, ellos, ellas, third person plural. This stem change is also different from the present tense. In preterite forms, you need to change E to I and O to U, as you will see in the examples below. The preterite endings are in blue, and the stem change in the preterite conjugation is indicated in bold. Let's take a look. So we have preferir, that is a stem changing verb that ends in IR. So how does it behave in the preterite? So we see the present right here. In the present, the stem changes from E to IE. So we have prefiero, prefieres, prefiere, preferimos, preferís, prefieren. Now, how is the preterite? It's a little bit different. The stem change is from E to I, and it only happens in the él, ella, usted, and ellos, ellas, ustedes form. Let's take a look. So yo preferí, no stem change here. Yo preferí, tú preferiste, no stem change here. But look at what happens right here. Él, ella, usted prefirió. Ellos, ellas, ustedes prefirieron. So the third person, singular and plural, will change the stem from E to I. Okay? Then nosotros, nosotras, you don't have to worry about that. It never changes the stem. Preferimos. Okay? So the registered changes happen in the él, ella, usted, and ellos, ellas, ustedes form, and it is from E to I. And that happens with any other stem changing verb that ends in IR. Okay, let's take a look at an O to UE verb in the present. Here we have dormir, right? So in the present, it changes from O to UE. So we know this very well. Duermo, duermes, duerme, dormimos, dormís, duermen. Now, what happens in the preterite? The change is from O to U this time for the preterite, and it only happens again in the él, ella, usted, ellos, ellas, ustedes form. So we say durmió and durmieron. All right. So let's take a look at some examples. Right here, figure 1. Ayer, Blanca, ella, se divirtió mucho en la cocina. So, divertirse is one of those stem changers. Let's take a look at the verbs that change the stem, that are stem changers ending in IR. A list of them. Of course, the list is not extensive, but these are a few good examples. So, stem change E to I. The vowel highlighted in bold will have change from E to I in the conjugations of usted, él, ella, and ustedes, ellos, ellas again. Okay, so we have a bunch right here. I'm not going to go, well, I could, and you have the translations here in the right column. So Spanish, advertir, conseguir, convertir, convertirse en, to become, despedir, despedirse, that's to say goodbye, divertirse, to have fun, medir, mentir, pedir, preferir, repetir, seguir, sentir, sentirse, to feel good or to feel bad, sentirse bien, sentirse mal, servir, vestir, vestirse. So as you can see, some of these are reflexive. How do we know a reflexive verb? We know that the se pronoun at the end of the infinitive indicates that the verb is reflexive. All right. And then we have a few that will change the stem from O to U in the preterite. And they are dormir or dormirse, to fall asleep, and morir, to die, and morirse. ¿Sí? So in the preterite, él, ella murió. Okay. Bueno, so let's take a look at the examples now. Well, I can leave those there for you to take in for a few minutes. You're welcome to pause the video and take a closer look at those. And then those from O to U. And then, yeah, that's all we need for now. All right, so you're welcome to pause the video and take a closer look. And then let's take a look at the examples to see how these operate in context. Here we have the first one. Divertirse means to have fun. So it is reflexive and also a stem changer. Divertir ends in IR. So for third person Blanca, we need to change that stem from E to I. Ayer Blanca se divirtió mucho en la cocina. Why se? Because it's a reflexive verb. Remember the placement of reflexive pronouns. Ayer Blanca se divirtió en la cocina. On this one, we have el gato. ¿Sí? El gato durmió muy bien anoche. The O changes to U in the preterite for el gato, which is el, third person singular. And then, acá, el sábado pasado, los camareros sirvieron comida deliciosa. That comes from servir, to serve. That I on servir changes to I for ellos. Los camareros sirvieron comida deliciosa. With all of this information in mind, you can always go back, rewind the video. Let's do some practice. Stem changing preterites. ¿Qué hicieron estas personas ayer? Usa los verbos despedirse. What was that? To say goodbye. Divertirse, to have fun. Dormirse, to fall asleep. Pedir, in this context, that's to order something at a restaurant, but pedir also can mean to ask for something, like permission, for example, to request something, pedir un favor, to ask for a favor, reírse, to laugh, sentirse aburrido, to feel bored. So let's remember the stem only changes in third person, singular and plural, not in yo, tú, nosotros, vosotros. Okay, keep that in mind. So use the next few moments to figure out how to create sentences using the images and the subjects provided. You're welcome to pause the lecture, and when you come back, I will be ready to share a few correct statements or a few possibilities for correct statements with you. So, as you have come back, it's time to review. Let's do this together. For the first one, la niña, we can say something as la niña se despidió. She said goodbye. Despedirse, to say goodbye. So acknowledge the reflexive pronoun and then say despidió. We need to change that I right here to I. I'm going to highlight it. La niña se despidió. Número dos, what is the woman doing? And you need to pretend you're the woman and speak in the yo form. So to laugh, reírse, it's a reflexive verb. So yo me reí. We don't need to change the stem because it's the yo form. Yes, yo me reí. So no change of stem needed. Yo me reí. Now we have él for number three. He looks pretty bored, so we can use sentirse aburrido. We need to change this stem right here from E to I, and it's a reflexive verb, another reflexive. Él se sintió aburrido. Él se sintió aburrido. And let me go ahead and make it bigger. Okay, here we go. E to I. Se sintió aburrido. Here we have tú, so we don't need to change the stem. And what verb are we using? Pedir, to order something. Tú pediste una hamburguesa. Tú pediste una hamburguesa. We don't need to change any stem here. For number 5, Federico, that would be él. And we have dormirse, to fall asleep. It's a reflexive verb. Federico se durmió. We need to change that O in dormirse to you because it's Federico, third person, singular. And let's see. Okay, Federico se durmió. We don't need this. And let me highlight the stem. Se durmió. And then for the last one, they seem to be having fun. So what is to have fun? Divertirse. Los chicos se. Then let's change that stem from E, that E right there, to I. Se divirtieron. It's this one here. Los chicos se divirtieron. Let me make this bigger so you can see. I'm gonna put it in show mode. There we go. So take a look at that, compare to your answers, your effort. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, or any part of it you need clarification for, you know where to find me. Text me or email me using the D2L uh, internal system, email system, or the My NSCC account. All right, see you next time.